start. All right. From the top? From the top?
Yeah, from the top.
All right.
Sorry, man.
All right. Once again, peace. I be the God-born King Mathematics of Law from the almighty Xing Xing regime. I give all rights and permission to use this footage for the education of the youth and, for positivity and righteousness. Peace.
So first question in regards to health. Do you feel there are services in the city that help young people deal with trauma and difficult life circumstances?
Right. Well, dealing with trauma and life difficulty, I mean, there are services that I feel that are available, but you have to really seek them out. I don't think, there's a medium out there that really publicizes it enough so the youth could actually tap into those resources. I feel like a lot of the time it's like a needle in a haystack, and you got to really seek, and find, and they're too far to really to get it. Because if a kid is in certain community projects or whatever, a lot of the resources is so far away from them. I feel like the resources need to come to the youth so they can know, okay, yeah, I'm here for you, instead of them going to seek it and try to find it. But I feel there are some. There's not enough. There needs to be more. But that's definitely something that needs to be dealt with. Dealing with, difficulties, the situation, and trauma. Like when you get hit in an accident, they got insurance policies that help you, cope with trauma and different things like that. You see what I'm saying? And that comes with the insurance policy. But at the same time, it's like there's trauma that goes on in the community that kids that don't have coverages or whatever don't get that. I feel like they got to come and really tap into the sources where the youth is and really provide that for them, because it's real. Like the kids out here is it's real out here for the youth. So yeah, that's how I answer that. Peace.
In terms of education, what are your opinions about the education system, and do you feel that you've been fully educated by the education system?
Wow. Well, I mean, definitely not. The education system, is I'm gonna be real with y'all. It's fucked up. I mean, for a black youth, there's no education. I see the best education that any person can have is knowledge of themselves. And knowledge of self is something that, is taught only by people that have it. If you don't have knowledge of self, you can't teach another person knowledge of self. So at the same time, the educated system, or people that are in the education system, don't have knowledge of themselves, so they can't teach that. You have to go to the people that have that to get the knowledge. You know what I mean? And a lot of these people are self-taught. A lot of these people don't graduate from certain universities and colleges. A lot of these people learn by studying themselves and studying education and studying different scholars, and street professors, which I call them, educated brothers that are on the corner, that have a lot of knowledge. That you can get knowledge anywhere. You could get knowledge from, a stranger, a bum on the street. Like, knowledge is infinite. A lot of times people think, oh, if you're not highly educated in your different school systems, then, it doesn't mean anything. I don't see that. Knowledge is infinite, and that's how I see it. So in regards to the education system, no, they do a terrible job in educating our young. You know what I'm saying? And that's why the young need knowledge of self. You know what I mean? And I'm a brother that I teach knowledge of self. So when brothers I see that are out there, and I see them going in the wrong direction, my job is to lead them in the right direction and give them that knowledge of self so they could navigate themselves through this world here. Peace.
So then, I guess from that answer, I guess you're implying that the solution is within the community. The solution has to come from people with the knowledge in the community.
Oh, definitely so. Definitely so. I feel like, it takes a village to raise the children, right? That's an old saying, and I feel like the people in the community are responsible for the community. Like, I don't depend on the educated system to educate my young. I educate them, and my young is not just my biological children. My young is the youth in my community. my duty is to teach them. You know what I'm saying? Because I see that the education system failed them. You know, it failed me. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is that I'm not going to totally knock education, because education is key, no doubt. But the problem is, when you don't have an education of yourself first and foremost, everything else is not going to matter to you. You see what I'm saying? Because without the knowledge of yourself, everything else is irrelevant. You're not going to really understand everything else out there. You know what I mean? Basic science, math, and chemistry, all these things is good. But without knowledge of self, it's like, it's useless, because you don't know who you are. You're still lost. You see what I mean? So it's like, that's why that's first and foremost. The best education you should have is knowledge of self. Everything else will fall into place after that.
It's hard to approach. It's hard to approach you, because a lot of people, they don't take too well
Right.
to education figures.
Right.
Like, is there a way that you would say is a true way to approach that type of education?
I mean, like, I'm a people of the people. I mean, I mean, if you come in holier than thou, you know, and self-righteous, you're not going to be able to engage the youth. You got to also remember that you were once one of those youths in the streets. If you were brought up like that, maybe not, but you were also a youth also. There's always a generation gap. You know, people don't want to be preached at. People don't want to be, you know, they hear that all the time from the old heads, you know. So you got to come to the youth as the youth, you know what I mean, and relate with them, you know, what they deal with, and show them signs of certain things that they deal with within their own reality. And when they see that, then, you know, the doors will open and they'll be able to understand, like, you know, yeah, what you're telling me is the truth, because truth is truth. Regardless if you accept it or reject it, the problem is a lot of people don't have any access to the truth. A lot of times, because there's so much lies, they're bombarded with so much propaganda and lies. So when the truth comes to them, you know, it's not recognized. It's like, it's just confusing, and they don't know what to choose. So when you come to the people as the people, you know, especially the youth, there's ways to engage the youth. You know, a lot of them, you know, is subjected from, like I said, a lack of knowledge of self. You know, they have no purpose in life. That's why they have no respect for life. That's what brings forth a lot of violence. You know what I mean? The lack of knowledge of self. Without knowledge of self, you have no self-esteem. You don't feel good about yourself. You're hating the next man. You know what I'm saying? You're dealing with what I call four devils: envy, lust, greed, and hate. These different things that are, you know, taught to you as a child. You know, and then you grow into that. And then you hate the next man, hate your brother. This is all a lack of knowledge of self, which comes back to education, but it's the education of yourself. Education is key, but it's the proper education. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what I'm for, the proper education of the youth, so they'll know how to act accordingly in society and not be, you know, a nuisance. You know what I mean? Definitely, yeah, that's how I see that.
Next question, in regards to justice. Is the justice system fair? How do you feel your age or younger are treated by police officers?
Oh, wow. I mean, just like, you know, the education, this is all systematic, you know what I mean? This has all been preordained, you know, by the powers that be, you know what I mean? So, you know, the government system, you know what I mean? You got the law system, you got, you know, all these different systems that's out there to keep you programmed and keep you in a box, you know? I put it all in the same category. We call that the 10%. They're the bloodsuckers of the poor. You know, they teach poor people lies to deceive them and keep them blind to themselves so they can master them. It's all a tool. You know what I mean? Television, telling lies to your vision. This is all in the media that is used to control the population of the people and keep them dumbed down so they can control them and use them as a tool. See what I'm saying? So when you have, you know, what they call profiling, you know, like police will, you know, see young black youth and they congregating amongst themselves, and, you know what I'm saying, they pull them over, stress them, frisk them, this, that, and the third. It's like, these are things that they do, you know what I mean, to keep us, you know, subjected to the oppression that always existed from the beginning, you know what I'm saying, of slavery, you know, because this all goes back to, these things were always in place. They're just disguised now, you know. So it's like the justice system is no justice. Like they say, there's no justice, no peace. You know, like, you know what happened to, you know, rest in peace to Trayvon Martin. You know what I mean? The young youth that was murdered unjustly. You know what I'm saying? And it was like he was tried and convicted in death. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the reality of it. There was no justice and no peace. You know, so it's like across the board. I mean, America definitely is in a worse situation than Canada, but they say when America sneezes, Canada gets a cold. So we right next door. So a lot of the effects, we gon' catch them regardless. You know, so it's time for us to come as one, unify, teach our young, and let them know that the only justice comes from just us. You know what I mean? Just us. We're the ones that have to administer justice. Not so much like taking justice in our own hands, like, you know, and causing confusion, you know, but definitely knowing right from wrong, standing your ground, or standing for what's right in your community when you see injustice, you know, and making your voice be heard, you know. But definitely education, like it always goes back to, you got to know the law. You know, they study, you know, these old books, and a lot of these laws are old time laws that they're still, you know, inflicting to this day. And that's what the justice system is based on. So you have to understand these laws, when they were written, black people were in slavery still. They didn't change any of them laws. A lot of them got kind of revamped, but the, you know what I'm saying, the fiber of them laws, we was in chains when they was written. So they don't, you know what I'm saying, they're not for us. You know what I'm saying? So that's another reason why, you know, we're subjected to a lot of the things that happen to us. Like, it's all systematic. It's all been, you know what I mean, preordained. It's like you just got to really do the knowledge and see, okay, this is what's happening, and then work to counter-react it. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, education is the key, man. Justice, there's no justice, just us. You know what I mean? And that's how I see that, you know. I want to get more, you know, profane, but I'm keeping it light right now, because you asking all the questions that, you know, usually gets my blood boiling, because, you know, it's real, you know. That's what's up. Word.
Last question. You feel safe in your community?
Well, you see, that's the thing. Like, my community is where black people are, so I feel the same pain the way my black people feel. Like, my original people, if they don't feel safe, I don't feel safe. Just because if I'm living in the Hamptons or whatever, if my black people are being, you know what I mean, oppressed and, you know, subjected to, you know, unlawful injustice, I'm feeling that too. So do I feel safe in my community? No. You know what I mean? If I'm driving in a whip, I may not have, you know, no drug paraphernalia or nothing like that on me, but once you see the cops, you know, just like any black man, you like, there goes the cops. You didn't do nothing wrong, but you already know they're gonna come and start some shit. You see what I'm saying? It's no doubt in my mind that, you know, we on enemy lines, man. You know, that it's real. It's us against them. Like, that's what, until like there's justice, it's us against them. You have to watch your back. You a black man, it's real. They don't care about us. They don't. You know what I'm saying? And without the knowledge of yourself, you're not gonna know how to really turn this, you know what I mean, the negative into a positive. You're gonna let the negative succumb you, and then you're gonna go out there, you know what I'm saying, and do exactly what they want you to do. You know what I mean? Because that's all we doing is killing off our own kind, you know what I'm saying, which is self-destruction, another lack of knowledge of self, because a lot of us can't cope with the conditions that we're subjected to, you know what I mean, so we end up turning on our own, you know what I mean? And that violence is, you know, self-inflicted. So it's like, knowledge of self is the only answer, man. It's the only key. You know what I mean? And that's really just the first step. Because after you get the knowledge of self, then it's applying it and then activating it within your own community. You know what I'm saying? And bringing forth community control. Back in the days, we had community control. Nobody could come in the community unless we said so. You know what I'm saying? There was no drugs in the community because we control that. You know what I'm saying? The original Bloods and Crips and different things like that, that's what they were in order to do before they got corrupted, you know what I'm saying, and infiltrated, just like a lot of positive organizations that were out there. You know what I mean? They always get infiltrated, and then it turns, you know, it goes to the left and turns into something else that it was not originally, you know? So it's time for us to go back to our original state, you know what I mean? Gaining the knowledge of ourselves, you know, each one teach one, you know? If I have it, you have it, we share, you know what I mean, the resources amongst one another and help each other as a community, you know what I mean? Stop being like crabs in a bucket and pulling each other down. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, when you open your eyes, you're going to really see that we're our own worst enemy. You know, we the ones that's bringing, you know, the destruction to ourselves. You know what I mean? And it's the knowledge of self that's going to stop all that. You know what I mean? That's what's up, you know? So, word is born. You know what I mean? Word. All right. You know what I mean? PCI, I know y'all dealing with, it's called Youth Nation. You know what I mean? Peace to all the youth out there. You know what I'm saying? I'll be the God-born king, mathematics law, Xing Xing regime, the almighty. You know what I mean? Check out our music. That's what we teach. Knowledge of self through hip-hop music, you know? And, you know, shout out my man Stolen from Africa and all that. Peace to the gods and the earth.